Guys and gals, welcome to this week's pre-foreclosure tip of the week, pre-foreclosure daily grinds. Chris the Drummer Bowes and Bob LaChance. How you guys doing? This week we actually have a good tip and something that's going around with a lot of second mortgages and first mortgages. When you have properties with first and second mortgages, I just pulled this actually offline. This was from the California Association of Realtors, and this actually has to deal with different perceptions on what's right and wrong when you're giving extra money to a second lien holder. Chris and I both differ in this interpretation also. So I'm going to read this interpretation, and this is basically written by attorneys out in California, which obviously a lot of times they leave things a little subjective, if you will.
Yeah.
let me read this to you guys, and you guys, a lot of you guys will actually be going through challenges and properties of this sort. Anyway, starts off, says undisclosed short sale payments may be illegal. Undisclosed payments in short sale transactions, especially those paid outside of escrow, may violate law, including RESPA, laws against loan fraud, and licensing laws. Short sale agents have increasingly reported to CAR about requests for agents and their clients to pay junior lien holders and others, oftentimes outside of escrow. One common scenario is when a short sale seller's senior lender authorizes a payment of $3,000, for example, to extinguish a junior lien, but the junior lien demands that the buyer pays an additional $9,000 outside of escrow. One tip I just want to say here: a first mortgage doesn't authorize anyone to pay anything; they ask for it. So that's one thing that's okay. I just want to put a little tidbit on that. And we have a couple things highlighted. Not only would it be risky for a buyer to pay outside of escrow, but concealing this additional payment from a federally insured senior lien or lender may constitute loan fraud, which is a crime punishable by blah, 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 blah. Furthermore, omitting from the HUD-1 statement any charges paid at settlement by either a buyer or seller may violate the Residential Settlement Procedures Act. Says, depending on the specific circumstances, carrying out these payment requests may also violate other laws and regulations and blah, 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 blah. So, Chris and I have two different interpretations here.
Which goes to show how ambiguous these things can be.
Exactly. See, I personally don't see anything wrong with a seller trying to get a foreclosure off their credit by paying. In this particular deal, actually, we're doing a deal right now with a student out in California where an attorney will not allow the seller to come out of pocket and pay the second lien holder extra money because the first mortgage will only allow a certain amount. So basically, the attorneys and the foreclosing lenders are pushing this homeowner into foreclosure even though they're doing all the right things, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. So two of the things we highlighted here. Not only would it be risky for a buyer to pay outside of escrow, but concealing an additional payment from a federally insured senior lender may constitute fraud. And the other one was omitting from the HUD-1 settlement statement any charges paid at settlement. One takeaway here. Chris, what do we do up front every single time you're talking to a first mortgage holder when you know this potentially could happen? And this is on probably about 90% of our deals that have two mortgages on it. So what do you do up front to make sure that...
Always. You know, the reason I highlighted those two things are because those are the two I guess we want to say, for lack of a better word, we'll say offenses. So I make sure to counter those two things immediately. When I'm talking to the negotiator at the first, I always explain the situation. I make sure he's aware or she's aware. Here's what we got. We got a junior lien. It's with recovery. It's with a debt collector, whatever. You know, you negotiator, you know that the way that things go these days. So given that you guys are willing to pay them $3,000, if they want $7,000, hypothetically, would you guys have an issue with the buyer or the seller or the agents chipping in to make up that difference? Because I'm pretty much guaranteeing we're going to.
So we do it right up front to make sure that when it goes to closing, this crap doesn't happen.
Right, and then to take care of the second, you know, kind of I guess offense. I always make sure when I'm talking to the attorney, depending on the state, or the title agent, always make sure that it's on the HUD. Whatever additional sum is going to the second. And that's the other, actually, the part two of what I say to the negotiator, is I say, if it's okay with you, obviously it's going to be on the HUD. You know, I'll have the title agent or the attorney put it there, and then when the time comes, it is put on there. So everybody knows it's recorded there on the HUD that an additional amount was paid to the junior. The senior lien knows it, you know, and everything is...
You always want, obviously, everything on the HUD-1 settlement statement.
Of course.
But this being ambiguous, meaning if a second mortgage requires a little more to release their position, you know, there's nothing wrong with the seller paying down the principal of a junior lien holder. A first mortgage shouldn't have any... They shouldn't dictate where the seller puts their money. It's ridiculous because the first mortgage could go after them for that loss anyway. That's their position. So, I mean, that's my take on it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and this being so ambiguous is also ridiculous. But this is actually spreading throughout the country, so know that this may come in your state sometime soon. And again, this is one thing. This is not yucking on anybody, but not every attorney is created equal. So make sure if you ask for one's opinion and they come up with something that may not be in your opinion, maybe you could ask another one and then another one. You know, it's the same thing with real estate professionals, other real estate professionals. Agents are not created equal. Loss mitigation specialists are not created equal. No one's created equal, so always get a second opinion. So that's our takeaway anyway. And if you're dealing with second mortgages that want more, like debt recovery departments, debt settlement, debt
collectors.
Debt collectors, that's what I'm looking for. Always right up front, make sure you ask the first mortgage if it's okay. In the end, if they'll allow more than what they're allowing.
Yeah, it's just good practice, guys. You know, it's a CYA, cover your ass kind of a move, and it's just good practice. And then that you want to just make sure that everybody's aware, everybody's notified. If it affects them, it's
you want to protect yourself.
Me personally, I like to make sure if it affects you as another person involved in this transaction, that you're aware of it.
Yep, which is good. Also, two other things. One of them, GMAC. I don't know if you guys know this, but if they do their first valuation, they do a BPO. But GMAC is making us or somebody in the transaction pay for an appraisal to dispute any high BPO values. So just know that they're going to want someone else to pay for a full-blown appraisal if you guys are willing to dispute the BPO, or if you want to dispute a high BPO, which is, guess what? A lot of REO agents are doing BPOs, which is a conflict of interest, which we talked about before, which, that's the time that you'll probably end up having a high BPO. Also, B of A, they've been pulling this bull crap lately. Just happened to us again. B of A, when they give you a verbal approval, make sure you do not, I repeat, do not let everyone in the whole transaction know that they gave you an approval until it is in writing.
Yeah, that's typically what I do. That's definitely,
Yeah. So don't say anything until you get it in writing, because it'll come back and bite you in the butt. This has happened too often now. I just got a phone again with one of our coaching students that actually live in California, and that's what happened. Yeah. So anyway, also we're doing our Equator.com webinar. That's back on for next week. Back on. We got caught up in a little snafu. We got a letter from the Equator Legal Department asking us to kind of tweak a couple things to stay within their parameters, which we did, which is good. But anyway, it's back on, and we're going to show you guys tips and tricks on how to best get your property closed within the Equator system. This is going to help Equator users, people that are working on Bank of America properties, and also GMAC properties. So anyway, and also check out PropTracker.com, PropTracker.com. That's our online real estate management tool. Second to none. It's killer. We're just adding our buyer-seller property match coming online next week. But anyway, Chris the Drummer Bowes, Bob LaChance with this week's pre-foreclosure.
Whatever happened to the butterfly?